Good evening, girls. Good evening to the second episode of Let's Talk, where we loosen up, where we pour our heart out. We can just be ourselves, no research, no particular topic to speak upon. It is just about ourselves, getting to know ourselves through this conversation, right? So, we have three beautiful girls again today. I would like to introduce my first guest, that is Vedanteshwari Kumari Raval. She is currently pursuing humanities with economics and aspires to become a lawyer. She's a sports enthusiast and currently is studying health pattern of teenagers. That's a wonderful combination, yeah. She is gregarious by nature and she believes in the words of Henry Longfellow, which goes, heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they were toiling upon at night. Yes, that's true. Gradual, hard work, consistency takes you where you want to be. And this quote implies that success can only be achieved by working hard, and that drives her to give her best. Welcome, Vedanteshwari.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you. So, Vedanteshwari, this beautiful combination of being a sports enthusiast and studying the health pattern of teenagers. So, can you throw some light on that? What have you got to know till now?
So, when we went into lockdown during this pandemic, there were two sections which we've noticed. There were some people who started eating junk food and they followed an unhealthy pattern. And there were some people who realized that physical health matters a lot. So after 1 year of quarantine, people actually realized that if we have to live like this, because Corona, I really don't think it's going to go soon. So if we have to live like this, we have to follow a pattern. We cannot just keep choosing the unhealthy means to keep living like. So there are various age groups going through various health issues. Like if you notice the adults, they're trying to cut down on junk food, but they're the ones eating a lot. And the children, whereas they've become so conscious about their eating habits and their appearance that they've started going on a weight loss regime. So a lot of people are trying to lose weight, which is very nice, but they're affecting their own health in a very wrong manner. So during this period, even I've been infected by corona, and there was a time when my eating appetite, my appetite had gone for a complete toss. So I could not eat, and I ended up losing a lot of weight, which was actually not really good because that made my bones weaker, my muscles weaker, and my growth spurt wasn't taking place. So we need to make children of our age realize that it's not about the body or it's not about the figure, but it's actually about your inner muscle development and your bone development. Because if we don't eat the right things right at this age, we're not going to grow. So that is why I'm trying to study the basic process and trying to spread awareness about good eating habits in our age group.
Nice. At this age, you have the realization of this combination of your diet and your exercise and how it's important for you to keep yourself fit. And yes, that realization, I'm assuming, is coming from you being affected by COVID. And that was when you started to feel that we need to maintain this balance of diet and understand the health pattern. And it's true, it's so very true. Your age, particularly the adolescent age, they're getting so conscious as to what they need to eat, or how they need to appear. But sometimes it is taken in the wrong context of dieting. Cutting down food is not dieting. It's a balance that you need to inculcate. Beautiful, Vedanteshwari, and it really connects with your being a sports enthusiast. And what kind of sports are you primarily interested into?
My main sport is swimming, but due to COVID, I've been running actually. So I'm planning to run marathons. That's why I go through marathon training currently.
Oh, wonderful. So have you ran any marathon till now?
No, I haven't. There is one which takes place in January called the Mumbai Marathon. So I am planning to enroll for that.
How many kilometers?
That's 16 kilometers.
16? Wow. Are you practicing for that?
Currently, I run 10 every day, but 16 is something which I have to work on in a few months.
But 10 every day is also a good task. I mean, if you're running 10 every day, that's it. How much time does it take when you run 10?
It depends on days, actually. It depends on the body as well. So, Sunday is like a rest day. So when I go on Monday for the run, I tend to take around 50 minutes or 55 minutes. But if you go on for like Wednesday, Thursday, when it becomes a little monotonous, then I end up taking at least 1 hour, 12 minutes, or 1 hour, 13 minutes. So it depends on the body sometimes.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have run a marathon of 21 kilometers as well. So I can really, I mean, it requires a lot of hard work and determination and focus. Yeah. Wonderful with that, Deshwari. Now let's move on to our next guest for today, who is Sadhya Jain. Sadhya is currently studying sciences and aspires to become a doctor. Wow, we have a lawyer, aspiring lawyer, we have an aspiring doctor. And besides being her monotonous study schedule, she likes to play the keyboard and do some classical dancing as well. She strongly believes in the quote, you create your own happiness. That is so true. I mean, very simple, very basic, but it's true to the core. At the end of the day, yes, we do create our own happiness. She loves helping others, which gives her happiness. And being around dedicated people keeps her motivated and pushes her to give in all that she has. She hopes to serve the country in the field of medical science in the near future. Wonderful, Sadhya. So Sadhya, what motivated you to choose medical science as your profession?
Okay, so since a child, I wanted to become a doctor. It just really fascinates me. Like you go to a clinic and you see, and the amount of respect a doctor gets, it's very fascinating. And especially during COVID, when nobody else, like everybody believed in doctors. So that is like you give your life to your doctor. Like you really trust that person. So that is one thing I really like when people really trust me. So that's one thing I would want to do because of medical sciences.
Yeah. So your core value seems to be trust then, because if you want trust, you must be having that in your value system as well. And that's very true. God, when it comes to especially this particular situation, they are next to God right now. And the COVID warriors, that's what we call them, right?
Yeah.
Great, great. That's it. So that inspiration actually comes from to Sadhya from visiting the clinics, seeing how much respect they get. And you also create
everywhere, not only in clinics, but you go everywhere. The amount of respect doctors get, because I have my very close friends, dad and mom doctors. So I see the amount of respect they get everywhere they go. Not only in the hospital or anywhere. The degree is so high that so it's really nice to earn that much respect in society.
Yes, it is one of the most respectable profession. That's true.
Yeah.
It's a very responsible profession at the same time.
Surely, of course.
Wonderful, Sadhya. Okay, next we have Diksha Chitlangia. She's pursuing education in the field of commerce as a high school student. She's extremely passionate about reading and writing articles. And she's currently working on a research paper on finance. She aspires to serve the nation in the field of law in future. So we have another lawyer in making. And she strongly believes in the Albert Einstein quote, try not to become a man of success, rather become a man of values. Oh, we were just talking about values here, and here we are who strongly believes about that. Now, this pushes her to the extremity of believing in the principles of discipline, hard work, kindness, consistency, self-confidence, and most importantly, knowing one's worth. That's very profound, Diksha. So, Diksha, looking at your entire introduction, it's kind of intriguing. What kind of reading do you indulge in? Like what kind of books?
It's not particularized, honestly. Like I love going for fiction and non-fiction as well. One of my favorite books is from it's called Why Am I Hindu? By Shashi Tharoor.
Okay. So what is that you really liked in that book?
It actually teaches me about values again. It teaches the system of India and why I'm a Hindu myself. So it really inculcated me to read the book because it actually taught me who I am and where I come from and the value system that lies behind me, like the country. So it really fascinated me.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. So knowing one's self-worth somewhere down the line comes from why am I Hindu, is it?
Sorry?
So when you say that the most important thing for you is knowing one's worth, does that come from the book, Why Am I Hindu? That
Yes.
realization?
Definitely.
And have you written articles for anybody till now?
I haven't written articles for someone, but I do write a lot of them. And I've posted one to The Hindu, the newspaper, The Hindu.
Mhm.
So the rest, like, they're still yet to reply to my article.
That's wonderful. Even the try of giving it out there. And I will be interested to read that article as well, Diksha. And what is it on?
It's about society again and how people, the ethics basically, and women. It's about women empowerment in a way, but actually it balances out equality in society, which is yet to be found in most of the places in the world.
True, true. So basically, you talk about equality in gender.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, great, great. So Diksha, so all this is, kind of relating to your personal values and what you believe in. What are the areas, if you really had to focus on, what would be the areas you would want to focus on for your personal development?
I honestly could not understand. Could you like repeat what you just asked?
Sure. For your personal development, what
Right.
are the areas you want to focus on, like in your personal trait
Alright.
as a person?
I think I really want to be a person who's kindness is something I really want to work on. Like I want to create a society which is kind and true at the same time. And we're a part of the Generation Z, which is supposed to be a generation of changes. So I want to start the changes in the most positive manner, as positive as possible.
So do you have anything more narrowed down as to what can you do to bring about that kindness? Like being associated with some
The
kind of an
smallest
NGO.
of acts, the
Okay.
smallest of acts could actually mean being kind to someone. And there's no definition to being kind, honestly. It's like the little things you do for every person around yourself and for the society, because it's the people who make the society.
Can you recall a small incident, any small example in your life recently where you had the opportunity of being kind, or I would just say you were just kind to someone?
Definitely. So I work in an NGO. It's called Sweri. So what we do is that we sell a menstrual cup, and for each cup we sell, we give out to the women who are not available with the resources as of now. I think that was one act of kindness which I did in the last few weeks to someone. It was a generous response from my end for any person in the society.
That's an interesting thought. That's a very interesting thought and something which not everybody ponders upon. Great. So Vedanteshwari, what about you? Any area for personal development for you would want to focus on?
For me, there's this one trait which I really have, which I tend to often do, is that when people ask me to do something, I take it as something which, even if it's the smallest of small things, I would prioritize what they've asked me to do more than what I need to do. So I think something which I would want to work on is my prioritization. And even in terms of a lot of things like competitions, or you can say academics, I tend to get baffled because I tend to choose a lot of things, opt for a lot of things, but I tend to not prioritize the main things, something like academics, and go on for the extra co-curriculars, which are the part of life. So I think my main thing which I want to work on is prioritization.
Are you doing anything about that? Because now this is beautiful, since you know, okay, this is the area I want to work on for my self-development. So what are you doing to achieve that?
I am currently, my first priority in school was always sports and extra co-curriculars since I came to Mayo. But I just realized that these are a part of self-development, and it helps you build your character up, but you only get to build your character up once you build your career. So I think after coming back home, I've realized that academics is something which we really need to work on. So I've started prioritizing academics more than co-curriculars. And so I think that when you realize what you're doing wrong, you tend to always have this thought in your mind that, okay, I think this is wrong, when you know what you're doing wrong. So I think slowly I am shifting to the path where I'm realizing what I'm supposed to prioritize, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
So you feel that prioritizing sports to academics, that is the imbalance that are you feeling?
I think, and extra co-curriculars, because staying in Mayo, there are so many opportunities. And when you think of it, that when you get out of like Mayo, then you really don't know whether you will get to do these things. And when you look at normal children, like when you look at children who go to day schools, the amount of productivity they do compared to what we do is very different. So you tend to think that I can take part in a lot of things, but there are so many things that you shouldn't do in a way, because you need to balance your academics as well as your other like curricular activities. So I think there's an imbalance.
Vedanteshwari has now decided there are many activities. Yes, curricular is important, but co-curricular as well builds up your personality. So yes, it does get overwhelming that I want to participate in so many things. But now keeping a little track, okay, now per month, maybe I'll participate in one co-curricular activity. And then in the next month, I'll go for the next one. But and holistic development is what we is something that we called, and you're fortunate enough to have all that as well. Right? Okay. Okay. Well, Sadhya, what about you?
Okay, one thing I would really like to focus on is consistency. So for me, like especially now that I've taken up a very studious career, like study oriented, so I usually tend to distract myself. Like I love going out. So then the consistency part, like today supposingly I studied like supposingly 4 hours. Then tomorrow I'll just be like, okay, fine, I studied for 4 hours. Now what to do? Let's just go out. So that is one thing I really want to focus on. That no, it's like you have to study, like or do anything for a matter of fact. Not only studying, but you like with my keyboard also, I tend to lose interest. Like after some point of time, like I supposingly I played for consecutive 3 days. Then I'm just like, okay, fine. Now you can just skip it for a week, and then you can again play it. So that is one thing I would want to focus on, and I'm trying. So like I built a schedule and I'm trying to follow it. But yeah, I have to really focus on that.
So great, you have that first step taken already, because when you are structuring your time, you know, where you want to devote your time for what, it's great after studying for 4 hours. If you take a short break, it's going to rejuvenate you. It's going to refresh you so that you can study for another 4 hours. Right, so that is
very long. Then that break goes. Yeah.
Okay, so that is when you need to maintain that balance. And it's wonderful that Sadhya is already having that timetable for herself, the time structuring for herself. That okay, fine, I need to have the control. If I want to take the break, let it be like for 1 hour or 2 hours max, and then get back to work. Because remember, at the end of the day, your mission is to serve the society through medical science. So, yeah. Wonderful. So I have 3 areas: kindness, priorities, and consistency. And kudos to you guys for having that clarity, because I understand this is a very, very tricky question. When you ask people, they think, okay, what is the area I want to work upon? And the beautiful part is that you guys already know that these are the areas that you want to be working upon. And of course, you're taking good actions also for it. And as we say, your results will show with practice. Yes, prioritizing is important. We need to know what is more important for us, what is not. At the same time, understanding with being consistent as to what we are pursuing and putting in our hard work for that. Okay, now let us go a little deeper. Sadhya, I had to ask you, what is that one thing that really upsets you and why?
I think one thing that really upsets me is not having like I'm so used to staying in boarding that I have friends around that whenever I feel low, I can just go and cry to somebody. But for me, like I'm a person, I can't cry in front of my parents. Like I can't. So then at times I'm just like, it just doesn't happen. So at times I'm like, okay, I need somebody I can cry to. Like a lot of feelings get bottled up. Not like even if it's study pressure or any other thing or something my mom said or anything. So that is one thing I really feel that I want to have. I have a younger brother, so it doesn't make sense. So that is one thing I feel really sad about, that I could have an elder sibling or maybe someone I could just tell what I feel.
Whether they're just a phone call away. They have the liberty right now to have their phones. And why is it that you feel a little hesitant to uh, share your feelings with your parents? And, if of course, and if it is not relating to them for that matter.
Because I just feel that I don't want to burden them with my feelings. Like I don't want them to feel that I am feeling this way, because like it's a new surrounding for me. I haven't been living in Jaipur for all these years, and like my mom is also shifted, so it's new for her also. So she also feels that way. So I don't want to pressurize my issues to her, saying that no, no, and then she will obviously get worried. So I don't want that. So
Oh my
that's why.
God. Oh my God. You guys have grown up. You guys have, I'm so moved by this, when you feel that sense of responsibility that I don't want to burden my mom with my emotions. But something, Sadhya, let's give it a shot one day. Let's give it a shot one
I
day.
don't think
So,
so. I've tried, but it just doesn't happen.
mhm. We respect that. We respect that. We absolutely
And
respect
my
that. Your
mom is
friends.
very emotional also, so I just don't want it that she feels bad about anything.
Mm, okay. All right. That is kind of moving. What about you, Vedanteshwari?
So something that really upsets me is that I tend to plan. I'm like an over planner. Like I always, in the end, in a way, you can say I'm those kind of people who's very like a perfectionist in a way. So I want everything to be correct and like planned and in a systematic manner. So whenever there is something which doesn't go as planned, I tend to get a little frustrated, and then I get really anxious very quickly. So that is something which really upsets me. So I really don't like getting like anxious and perturbed by small things, but that just troubles me. And then I kind of think about it for like long. So I overthink about it. So that is why I tend to get upset when like everything doesn't go smoothly. Like during like even
So
like
can you give us some recent example if anything had happened recently where things didn't go as per your planning?
Sure. So basically, I like at home as well. We've been participating in a lot of things. So we have school as well, and we need to balance out our family as well, because it's hard to go on and balance two things as well. So when I have a schedule of mine, so in that schedule, there are a few things which can be compromised and a few things that can't. But that depends from person to person. So sometimes my brother or my parents or someone from the family thinks that the part of me going for a run can be compromised, but for me, the part of going for a run helps me think. It gives me time for myself to introspect in what I've done in a day and what I've not done. So sometimes that's something which happens very frequently, that like I tend to not go for a run due to various other reasons. So that's when I get a little upset. But the main thing in life is to be happy and cheerful and move on. So by the end of it, I just overcome it.
So what do? You actually sacrifice your run for it then?
There are some times that I have to, sometimes. So it goes on like a mutual basis, equal understanding. So it tends to get better than the other time, like a conversation between my parents and me to succumb to their needs and they succumb to mine, and then we can move on.
So it's both ways. It's both ways that sometimes they are ready to
I can
understand and sometimes you are ready to. Okay, wonderful. So what about you, Diksha? What upsets you and
I'm
why?
an extremely emotional person, so a lot of things really quickly. But each time I get upset, all I do is think about something which makes me really happy, and I tend to really quickly. So, for example, every time I get upset, all I think about is my parents, and the amount of love and affection they provide to me. And yeah, it just makes me smile. And I tend to overthink about the happiness rather than the sadness.
You know, this is some technique which is generally taught to children, to people who stay with their negative emotions. And Diksha does it naturally. So this is like an inborn thing that Diksha has. And this is a technique which is taught that when you are in a negative emotion, you want to come out of it. How do you come out of it? Is by anchoring it to a positive emotion, by remembering those feelings which actually made you feel happy. And that helps you come out of your negative emotions. So it's a very profound technique that we normally use for coaching our clients here. And Diksha does it naturally. So this is coming like a surprise to me, Diksha, but it's a wonderful technique. Does it work, Diksha?
It definitely works for me. It really does.
Girls, we have something for you from your friend again, because this is a wonderful technique, Diksha. And if you all apply it too, life is going to be better and you will have less chances of when you get upset. Yeah, thanks, Diksha, for that. Thank you very much. But yes, that's true. Being human, we all get upset with something or the other, whether it's a conscious one, whether it's unconscious. But the challenge is how we come out of it. Yeah. Okay, so that was nice. That was nice to know. Next is, if you could meet anyone, let me ask this to Diksha now. If you could meet anyone, dead or alive, who would that person be and why?
It would be my grandfather. Because so he passed away when I was 6, and I've got a lot of fond memories of him. So I can't remember any as such. I mean, I can't remember if any as such right now. But whenever I hear of him or whenever I see his photograph, which is usually hung on the wall right outside, it really makes me emotional. It makes me want to go to him because I remember him as a person who was really affectionate and he loved to be around me. That's what I've heard from most of the people around me right now. And he was a man of values again. So he really inspires me to do a lot of things which I want to accomplish in my life. And he's almost like, he's like the person I want to follow.
That's nice. That's nice. You can actually, when you see his photograph there in your house, do you actually feel that I could meet him again? Does it a
Definitely. I mean, I feel as if I've that sense of attachment with him, which still exists somewhere in the universe. I mean, it's a little too deep to think about.
That's nice. That's nice. What about you, Sadhya?
Okay, it's a similar case. So even my grandfather, although I've never met him, he passed away long ago. But everybody says that I really look like him, and all my habits are like him. So they say that I remind, like my mother, she tells me that I remind her of my grandfather. So I want to meet him, and like I have always had this thing, and everybody says that you have a connection with him. So I feel it that way, that okay, fine. And so my grandfather, he also took up sciences and he was also preparing for MBBS. So I had this thing, okay, so I had this thing that okay, fine, now even I want to do this. And so this is something that keeps me going. And I really wish I could actually meet him like once, even for a moment.
That's so beautiful, yeah, because these stories that we hear around us keeps us intrigued, no? Like what kind of a person he must be. Okay, I'm similar to that person. And as Diksha's also said, having that some connection. Yes, there is of course a connection, a genetic connection is there. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to know that you guys think so. I mean, it's so instant. I mean, there was not even a single thought to it. It just came in instantly. Okay, this is the person I want to meet if I could. Great. Vedanteshwari.
So my case is again somewhat like it, but it's my great grandmother. So she passed away when I was 13 years old. And I was very connected to her because our wavelengths matched. Like if I were ever upset, or if I were ever perturbed about something, I knew who I was supposed to go to. And there's this one saying that goes around that grandparents and children match very well. So that is one thing, like after my mother and my father, I think the one person who understood me very well, and sometimes she would understand me more than my parents would. So there was this one wavelength, and it's one person gets connected to the other, not just because it's one way, it's two ways. So she would also sometimes end up sharing what she's feeling, and the wavelength we matched on was completely different. So it's like if I were ever supposed to like stay with her for like days, months, weeks, I would tend to do that than rather going out or spending time with other people. So I think I would really want to meet her and get those memories back.
Oh, wow. The audience watching is going to be so intrigued by this. You know, that when we say this generation gap, where is the gap? Yeah, because here our children are there who want to be with the grandfather, and we have someone with a great grandmother. And yes, it's so true. It's the communication is both ways. And that is where the catch is for us, you know, for parents as well. I mean, we expect that, okay, children are going to come up and talk to us. But how many times parents actually go to their children and talk about it? Right? So that is a both way connection. And it's so true. There was no kind of judgment or prejudice, you know, kind of stuff, that everything was transparent and the way it is with grandparents. I resonate that completely as well, because when I was thinking of this question, the one person that came to my mind was my grandmother. And when you all started with that, I was like, I am in a bunch of like-minded people here. Great. So in case this meeting drops, please dial into the same meeting. And we'll continue with that. We have about 15-20 minutes more, right? Now, so much to talk about. We spoke about. So since we're talking about our grandparents and great grandparents, what is your favorite childhood memory? Let me start with Vedanteshwari. Your favorite childhood memory?
So there was this time when I was a child that I felt really sick, and I had to get hospitalized, but I wasn't currently in Bombay. Like I stay in Bombay, but I have a house in a rural area. So I felt sick over there, and my parents weren't with me, and my grandmother was with me, but she was a little old, and that time she was also suffering through a few health issues. So my mother's mother, that means my maternal grandmother, in one night, she drove all the way from Madhya Pradesh to Maharashtra, which is approximately 1600 kilometers overnight. And she came and she stayed with me, and then I had to get hospitalized, but she was there with me throughout. So I think that shows me that it's like when you talk about mothers, grandmothers, they have dedicated everything to us. Like when you think of it, my mother, I think she's dedicated her entire life to my brother and me. So when you look at that amount of dedication for somebody else, it just inspires me. Like I get stoked sometimes looking at my mother, my grandmother, that with the capabilities they have, if they pursued what they could have done, they would have been somewhere else completely. And they just left all of that just to look after us. And like sometimes I think of it that there are so many times we end up hurting them, but I just think that that's unacceptable on our part as well. That they do so much for us, we actually can't compare what we do for them and what they do for us. So I think that one thing keeps me very in place and makes me realize what like my mother and my grandmother are to me.
That's so beautiful, Vedantesh. Well, how old were you then?
I was 8 years old that time.
And you remember that incident so well.
Well, there are just a few things. I think as children, there are a few things that develop you from the beginning. So there are some things which are always with you no matter what. Like even if you talk about it, I might not remember something about last year, but I remember something all the way back to like I was 8 years old, because that just stays with you forever, because it's so heartwarming and it's so pleasant that you can't forget it.
That's the beauty of self-love, self-care. I mean, care for others. When you sacrifice and you care for others, that's the beauty, because it's more when you receive that love, when you receive that importance, that belongingness, you can never forget that. So these are beautiful lessons that we can learn from them. And it's wonderful when you tell us these stories, because a lot of takeaways from that. how unconditionally our grandparents and parents loved us. And that is such a fact. It's a fact that, you know, women for that matter, sacrifice a lot for their children. And the beautiful part is that you guys, your children, acknowledge that. In this mean bad world, you acknowledge it, that yes, your parents have sacrificed a lot for you all, but at the same time, my dear, it is a, what do we say, it's willingly. It's not that anybody stopped them. It's like they want to do it because that's their ikigai, what we call, you know, being there for their children, and that's their ikigai. They've done it for themselves as well. So it's both ways. Wonderful, Itandeshri. That's a wonderful memory to, I think I'm also going to remember it every time I speak about this, that she had this incident where it is quite challenging, driving all the way overnight because nobody was there with you. That quite a courageous step. And at the same time, of course, a compassionate step as well. So Sadhya, what about you?
Okay, so my favorite childhood memory is like, okay, when I was in third grade. So my mother, like before going to Mayo, so my mother, so she loves music, like she loves listening to music. So she bought a karaoke set home. So my mother, my brother and I, three of us, like every Sunday for like about an hour or so, we would sit and we would just sing. And we had the worst voices. Like our voices were so pathetic, but we wouldn't care. My father used to get irritated saying your voices are so bad, and we should just sing our hearts loud. That okay, fine. So that is one thing I remember. Like that stays with me because now that I like after I went to Mayo, so then that thing just got over with. That karaoke also now I don't even know where it is. But like that thing stayed the every Sunday just for an hour, not even more than that. So for an hour you used to sing so loudly, like so that is one thing I
You were in the
really.
third grade at that moment, so I can actually imagine a third grader singing. That too on a karaoke set, that too on a mic. Well, that must be too much fun. Because I remember when we bought our karaoke set, it's a freaking moment that you have when you have something new, right? And I remember my Ria's father, my husband, he was so much into singing of that. The first thing in the morning was we used to wake up every day in the morning through his singing, and his favorite song was Tere Rang Mein Rang Ne Mali. So we would just get up with that music every morning. So I can completely understand how addictive being the karaoke is. All right. What about Diksha?
I don't really have a favorite childhood memory, to be honest, but it's a very recent one. It happened during the pandemic. So I was really upset about something. And for the first time in my life, did I see my father actually come up to my room. And I was upset to the point where I was crying inside the blanket. So he entered the room, he took the blanket off, and he actually hugged me. So that was the first time he actually hugged me in his entire life. And he whispered to me, he said that everything's going to be fine. You can always come up to me whenever you feel low. So I think that was the most emotional moment I've ever had with my father. And my father is like my backbone. So he means the world to me. It's like I can do anything for him. And I'm sure he feels the same way. So that was the best moment of my life, to be very honest.
That's so beautiful. That's really beautiful. How old are you, Diksha? So you say for the first time your father hugged you?
Yes, I am 15 and I was 15 back then. So it really a very touching moment to the heart. Maybe not to a lot of people, but it was to me.
That's beautiful. And yes, the human touch is the strongest way to come out of any negativity. It's called the Jadoo Ki Jhappi, right? You're feeling low, anything, and someone just comes and hugs you. It's all gone. It just vanishes, isn't it? Would you want to talk anything on that particular thing of being hugged, or you getting or hugging somebody else?
I think my mom feels it. Like whenever I'm upset, she'll come and she'll hug me, like very randomly. And then that is very warming and all. Like I feel very happy that okay, fine. Even if I don't tell her, it's just a very silent hug, and it feels like I'm home. Like okay, I don't want anything else. So it's really nice, and she gets to know. Not like I go to her saying, "Mama, I need a hug." She'll only come and she'll hug me. So that's very heart touching. It's very
Wow,
emotional.
so moms know it, even if you don't say it, they know it. Beautiful. Vedantesh, for you saying something, yeah.
So basically, during this pandemic, was like you said, one time where we had to stay and we connected. So there was this one very particular month that my grandparents, my parents, all of us were in the same house together. And there was this, WhatsApp message forwards that go around. So there was this one WhatsApp forward that my grandfather got talking about oxytocin. So oxytocin, you get oxytocin by hugging people. So he is someone he's like, when he starts with WhatsApp, he can't stop. So oxytocin. So generally, he will never talk about hugging people, but when he saw it on WhatsApp, he's like oxytocin. So since then, he's made it a point that we have our meals together in our family. We tend to have our meals together. So after dinner, wherever we have to go, we have to give our grandparents and our parents one dose of oxytocin and go back.
That's so sweet.
I think that takes place, you just feel that okay, after everything you've gone through the entire day, you just are happy and you're contented with what you have.
That's so sweet. That's right. Oxytocin is the love hormone. We normally call it the love hormone. So it is very powerful hormone, and it comes with the feeling of, yes, as we say, the human touch is the strongest emotion of evoking love. And that is when the oxytocin starts to being released. And this is again, beautiful learning again, giving one dose of oxytocin every day. So it just keeps all your worries and all your fears and everything that upsets you away. And you are good to have a good night's sleep to get up fresh in the morning. Wonderful. So many things to learn. That's the reason I like talking to all of you. I mean, there's so many things. Diksha just told us how you can just come out of your emotion by thinking of a happy memory and connecting to that feeling. And Vedanteshwari just told us how to give that one dose of oxytocin. It's going to stay with us to give that one dose of oxytocin every day. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And now finally, one last question. So what is a perfect day for you? Diksha.
A day with my loved ones. Like that would mean the world to me. Like each part of the world, every corner of the world, all of us getting together to meet and spending a day, maybe just sitting on a couch, having conversations. It doesn't have to be something fancy, something particular, some sort of a party, but just normal conversation with them mean a lot to me, because you literally never know who are you going to meet and who are you not going to meet. And I feel as if family is what makes us stick together to things, to life, to values, to everything. They're with us in our lows and our highs, including friends. Friends are family to me. So having all of them together one day, sitting and having conversations mean a lot to me.
How many loved ones? If you don't need to tell us who, but how many?
Literally all of them, like my entire family, all my friends, and I don't know. It's like there's an
uncountable. You can't imagine. You can't count them.
So. I can't really imagine.
Great. Vedanteshwari, what about you? Perfect day for you.
I think a perfect day for me is one day near the water. Since I've been a child, I've always been a water baby, and I think it's one thing that really suits me and it calms me. So I think like that one day near the water, or a few hours near the water, a beach, an ocean, like where I stay in Bombay, I'm right in front of the ocean. So I think when I get up in the morning, my day is made just like after seeing the ocean, because that's like I become really happy after that. Because like that gives me time to think. It gives me time to understand what's going on, introspect. So I think my perfect day is near the ocean or like near the water.
Beautiful. Yes, nature is very, very appealing, because at the end of the day, we all are a part of nature. So wonderful, Vedanteshwari. What about you, Sabya?
Okay, mine is very opposite. But so my perfect day would be to actually work the entire day. Like But getting up, then work, and then last going to sleep. Like no breaks, nothing, because that is what I really want. Like I'm really trying, and I want to like work, like either study or do something creative, like something productive. Like not sitting and just whiling away time and watching Netflix. No, like sitting and if supposingly I'm bored of studying, I could write something or maybe listen to music for a matter of fact, or maybe take a long shower. It's fine for me. Like that works for me, but at least not sit and just binge watch something or family time. Also for me, the thing is I can't spend the entire day with my family. I just need some time with them.
Okay.
So,
That's
because
an
after
honest
a point in time,
confession.
yeah, it is true because after a point in time, then we end up fighting. So there's no one spending for this to family. Sometimes it's fine. So everything balance. That is your perfect day for me.
Beautiful, Sadhya. I love that. Yeah, I love that honesty. Beautiful on that. It's true. I can resonate with that. Even it is very difficult for me to spend the whole day. But yes, for some time, a balance. Yes, beautiful. Yes, Sadhya. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for that. Now, are we up for the fun activities? Let's loosen out more. Let's easen out more. So we have this game called the connection game. You all must be knowing it, right? The connection game. So I'm going to give you the words, no time to think, no time to think. The first thing that comes to your mind, you just have to say it, okay? It could be anything. We don't need to make too many long sentences, like 1 or 2 words to describe that particular word. So let me start with Sadhya.
Okay.
Start, Sadhya.
Yeah.
Dance,
Live.
stage,
Could you repeat it?
stage,
Stage. Confidence.
disease,
Medicine.
science,
Career.
music,
Passion.
friends,
Family.
mom.
Care.
Thank you, Satya. Thank you. Diksha. Ready?
Yeah, definitely.
Books,
Love,
value,
morals,
confidence,
um, I don't know.
that's not an answer.
Um, there's no word to it. There's no word to it, honestly.
Okay. Failure,
Crying,
dreams,
passions,
happiness.
family,
Beautiful, beautiful, Diksha. Vedanteshwari,
Sure.
sports,
Happiness.
fitness,
Freak.
leadership,
Quality.
loneliness,
Botheration.
school.
Funny.
Funny?
Funny.
Okay. Family.
Happy. No, I've said happiness before. 8 words, right?
You can give me another word. Family.
Caring.
Dad.
Dad. That is something can be explained in like words, not just one
Sure.
word. He is someone who makes me want to do something. So he's like my life course. So like I want to do something to like tell my dad that I am on it and I will do things for my dad.
Okay, great, Vedanteshwari. Thank you, girls. That was nice. That was nice. And it kind of reflected what you feel about those aspects. Resonated with that a little? Right. So let's move on to the final game for today. And again, as I say, this is the rapid fire game. Thanks to Karan Johar for the invention. Let's just thank him for having this invention of rapid fire. It is fun. it is energetic, and it does get the best out of us. Okay, so because this is like the mini version now, here you have my beautiful guest today. So let's see if we can get something out of them. Diksha, let's start with you. Okay, there's a little twist in this. You people are very smart. If I do one round with you, all of you will think of your answers. So what I'm going to do is, same question, you just go in rounds and you give us the answers quickly. Okay, so Diksha, Vedu, Sadhya. Diksha, Vedu, Sadhya. And then when I go reverse, it becomes Sadhya, Vedu, Diksha. Okay, so same question, all three of you give your relevant answers. Right, so let's start with Diksha. The ideal stress buster for you, Diksha.
Reading.
Swimming.
Music.
Your best friend, Diksha.
Ria.
Anya.
Brinda.
Diksha, family or friends?
Both.
One.
Family. Because friends are family.
Family.
Beautiful. Reverse, Sadhya. Being creative or being practical?
Practical.
Practical.
Okay. Sadhya, tattoo or piercing?
Tattoo.
Piercing.
Piercing.
Sadhya, alcohol at 18 or 21?
21.
21.
21.
Good. Good girls we have. Okay, now reverse. Diksha, how much time on Instagram per day?
30 minutes.
4 hours.
30 minutes? Okay.
4 hours.
4 hours?
2 hours.
2 hours. Good balance. Diksha, whom do you follow on Instagram and why? Although it's a very short time.
A lot of people.
How do you do that in 30 minutes?
Who do I follow on Instagram?
Yeah.
A lot of people. I mean,
One person whom you follow consistently and why?
there's no person who I follow particularly.
Okay.
There's one swimmer, a blind swimmer called Anastasia Pagonis from the United States, and she swims and she broke the world record by being blind. So I think I follow her on Instagram.
Wow. Beautiful. Do text the name.
My
please.
very honest answer would be.
No, I will.
Okay, my very honest answer would be good meme pages because they're hilarious. And I just laugh.
Okay. So any particular page?
There are a lot of pages, but yeah, any good, nice humor meme pages, it's fine. Relatable situations, I follow.
Okay. Sadhya, let's start with you now. Reverse. In which class you had your first crush?
7.
7th. Okay. Vedanteshwari.
8.
8th. Diksha.
7th.
7th. Good. And for final answer, Diksha, Sadhya, if God came in front of you, what kind of a world would you want?
A happy world. Why when people are not selfish, like you can help people. There's no harm in helping.
I would want a world of peace. A world of peace where there is no fighting either for hunger or freedom. I think I would want a world of peace.
Diksha.
Affection and understandability.
A world of affection and understandability. Great. Thank you, girls. Thank you for your answers. And this is a very unique answer because normally when people give answers of this, they talk about the things that they don't want, like a complaint-free world, a disease-free world. But the beauty is that you guys answered what you want. That is a happy world, a world of peace, a world of affection. So if we always remain in that outcome frame, that this is what we want, because where your attention goes, that's where the energy flows. Thank you, girls. Thank you so much for being on this show. And it was a delight hosting you guys. We learned so much. My prime key takeaways would be that dose of oxytocin, how to get out of your emotions. And of course, Sadhya, I love it. You know, your perfect day. That's beautiful. Yes, being very, very honest with that. Thank you so much. So your final take on, what was the experience on being on this show today? Let's start with Vedanteshwari.
It was honestly a great experience because I think this place actually helped me come out of like, I think there are a few questions which we do get answered by whenever we meet someone, but I think these questions were really heartfelt and they actually helped us look at our inner soul. So like self-reflection for some time. So it actually made me realize that there are so many things that I don't actually go around doing, but I should. Like I talked about the affection part where our parents do so much for us. So I think I should give them some more than like what I do. But I think it was a really enthralling experience and I'm super stoked after this.
So nice.
Thank you so much for having me.
So nice. It's our pleasure to have you guys. Sadhya, what about you?
I think I got to know myself better because usually people don't ask these questions, so you never even think about the answers. And the answers, like all of us we gave, they were so spontaneous that I realized that not only me but everybody, we know what we want, so we just have to work on it. So, and plus the experiences like Vedanteshwari and Diksha also told, they were so heartwarming, like heartfelt, and it was so nice to know what other people also think. So I think I learned a lot from this, and I was really glad that you invited me over here.
So thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it's so true. Sometimes these questions are not only asked to us. So when these questions are not asked, how do you even think about it? And that's so true because at this age, normally the expectancy is what? Know about the world, know about what's going on, know about what you need to do in life. But how much time do we really ponder upon what we are as a person and what we can do? Because our power lies within us. And that realization comes when we have these kind of conversations. And it's so nice, that the beautiful part of it was how open you guys are to speak about it, to speak your heart out. And once you do that, yes, that self-realization comes across. And it's so much of learning from each other's as well, right? When somebody talks about something, okay, this is something that I can grasp in. This is something that inspires me. Yeah, even we can do that. Things like that. So it's exchange of feelings and knowledge at the same time. It's so nice to have you guys. Diksha, what about you? Let's take your final answer.
It was a lovely experience. I really, really enjoyed it. And having you, having Vedanteshwari, having Sadhya here made it really memorable. And I learned a lot. I heard experiences. It made me think about things to a deeper extent. And yes, it was really nice. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you so much for being here, girls. And do write down your feelings, keep that feeling with you, and send us a note of that on the picture on WhatsApp. So it's going to stay with us. Let's etch this feeling, what we are feeling. Let's etch it and let's keep it alive forever. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you again. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Love you lots.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.